Well, we're in the progress of going live here. I'm not sure exactly. I'm still learning this particular streaming service, so we'll see how that plays out here in a minute or two. But this is Kurt, and from the Day of Devotion, we're about to read our reading for today, which is Genesis 7 through 9. If you're reading with me, if you're not reading, if you're reading with me already, you can go ahead and go to my profile, and you'll find the link tree in there. The link tree will tell you the reading plan that we're using this year. You can read with me, you read by yourself, whichever you want to do. But if you click on that, it'll take you to that reading plan and everything like that. So let's go ahead and we'll get started on our reading for today. And let's see if we can't do this. So I'm going to see if I can take me out of the picture. Like I said, I'm still learning how to do all this exciting stuff, so it's still kind of new to me. So hope you guys put up with me for another minute or two, and we'll see if we can't get this show on the road. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's have prayer, and then we'll get started with today's reading. So, as you can see, I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Father, thank you for a chance to look at your word, to see what you have to say to us in these early books, early chapters of Genesis. And thanks for a chance to read through your word this year. Amen. Well, here we go. Let's see how we're doing. So when everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, go into the boat with all your family among all the people on earth. I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of each animal I've approved for eating and for sacrifice. And take 1 pair each of the others. I always enjoy the fact that it's 7. It's kind of God's perfect number. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. That was a mistake. I'm afraid of birds, so I'm sorry. Take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on the earth after the flood. 7 days from now, make the rains pour down on the earth. It'll rain for 40 days and 40 nights until I've wiped out from the earth all the living things I've created. Scroll down a little bit on this. And just make sure that we're in the game here. There we go. I'm trying to read from my Bible, but also use this so you can see it. Let's see. Where were we? Oh, yeah, we were here. So Noah did everything as the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with all the birds and small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. That very day, Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Let's scroll down a little bit here. Get that thing going. There we go. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, along with birds of every kind. And by the way, if you're online with us, just go ahead and say hello in the chat there, would you? I appreciate that. 2 by 2, they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and female of each kind entered, just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. For 40 days, the flood waters grew deeper, covering the boat, covering the ground, and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains on the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. All the living things on earth died. birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on earth, people, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and the birds of the sky. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat. And the flood waters covered the earth for 150 days. All right, let's skip chapters here and see how we do. Okay, but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. And the floodwaters began to recede. The underground water stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped, so the floodwaters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, pardon me, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, came to the of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the floodwaters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if water had receded and it could find dry ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew the floodwaters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time it didn't come back. Noah was now 601 years old. Man, I missed a whole birthday. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, think of that birthday cake. Just keep that in your mind, maybe. The floodwaters had almost dried from the earth 10.5 months after the flood began. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, your wife, your sons, and their wives. Release all the animals, and the birds, the livestock, the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons, and their wives left the boat. And all the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and he sacrificed his burnt offerings, the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. The Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, "I'll never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from childhood. I'll never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there'll be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." Well, we have one more chapter to read. And while we're just kind of waiting for that to happen, let me just invite you to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Really good to make that choice. And if you could, if you would do that, that would really help out our channel. And you get a chance to see our daily Bible videos. Make sure if you do subscribe that you hit the bell button, and that'll get you, every time I post a video, which is usually about 5 o'clock every day, plus these lives in the morning. Chapter 9. Boy, my throat's really I'm going to take a little drink. Oh, so much better. It's not coffee. And then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, all the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look upon you with fear and terror. I place them in your power. I've given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables, but you must never eat any meat that has the lifeblood in it." Now, just a quick commentary on that. I found that the fact that we had clean and unclean animals pretty interesting because God really hasn't said anything about that yet, but apparently they knew about it. They just hadn't written about it yet. And secondly, you probably already know this, but if you didn't, up to this time, people only got to eat vegetables, right? They didn't get to eat vegetables. They didn't get to eat meat yet. There's no meat eating that we know of prior to this, at least among God's people, right? And now he gets to eat them. And plus, now the animals are going to be afraid of him. I don't know if they were necessarily afraid of people before that. So it's pretty interesting, a couple of little sentences in there. And I'll require the blood of anybody. So I'm in verse 5. I'll require the blood of anybody who takes another person's life. If a wild animal, If a wild animal kills a person, it must die. And anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now be fruitful, multiply, and repopulate the earth. Then God told Noah and his sons, I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, the livestock, the wild animals, every living creature on earth. Yes, I'm confirming my covenant with you. Never again will flood waters kill all living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. All right, this is interesting stuff now. Then God said, I'm giving you a sign of my covenant along with all living creatures for all generations to come. I place my rainbow in the clouds. It's the sign of my covenant with you and all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I'll remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I'll remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth. Then God said to Noah, yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I'm confirming with all creatures on earth. All right, we're at verse 18, Noah's sons. The sons of Noah who came out of the boat with their father were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. From these three sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. After the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground, and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some wine he'd made, and he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe, held it over their shoulders, and backed into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they wouldn't see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan and said, May Canaan, the son of Ham, he said, may Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of servants to his relatives. Then Noah said, May the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed. May Canaan be his servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share in the prosperity of Shem. And may Canaan be his servant. Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived 950 years. Then he died. Well, that's a pretty interesting little look at today's word, right? So I think that's kind of interesting. I guess you find out a little bit more about the flood and Noah and his family, especially there at the end. Here he is. They've gone through this a year plus. We could go and calculate the exact time period, but it's around a year. They're on this ship, and they finally get off, and it must have been a little bit of time since they've gotten off, and he's cultivated the earth. He's got some grapes going on, make some wine. Well, maybe grapes, we don't know, but he's made some wine out of something, and he gets a little tipsy. He's in a stupor. That's what the Bible says, and he falls asleep naked. And Ham, instead of helping him, tattles on him or gossips about him. It's one of the reasons gossip is such a dangerous thing to the Christians, right? So I hope you'll check that out. Read today's word today and enjoy it. And we'll get back and read some more tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow's Saturday. I'll try to be back at 10:30 Eastern time. Sunday, we'll do it in the afternoon after church is over with. Here in our neck of the woods, we're supposed to get some pretty serious weather. So hopefully we'll have full electricity on that day, I hope. And we'll get that to you. So hope you're reading with me again. Go to the profile. I'm not sure where the profile is. It's someplace here in good old YouTube. And if you go to the profile, then you'll find my link tree, and that's where you'll find the link to the reading plan if you want to be with us. Or you can just get the reading plan for yourself, which is be okay as well. And just read along this year. And take a look what else you find. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button, that like button. We'll see you later. God bless.